What's going on, everybody? I'm Blitz5, and the latest patch notes are out today with update 5.2, which is also now available on the test server. And just to date the video, today is November 13th, 2019, as the test servers go live. And if you're looking at the screen, you're going to notice that spike trips are now available in the game by this fancy image right here in front of us. We have a gentleman holding onto the spike trips, and then we can see that there's two traps laid down on the ground, and a Murado has just run over one, and all of the tires are removed from the Murado. So we're going to get into this in just a second, but it's not just spike traps being added to the game. This is actually a pretty major update to the game with a huge update to Vikendi. I almost want to say Vikendi Remastered, even though they're not calling it that, and a few other UI changes being added into the game. So let's start off with what PUBG has to say. Update 5.2 of the Battlegrounds is here, and we're introducing a new way for you to contribute to the evolution of the Battlegrounds. PUBG Labs is debuting as a new destination for where you can try out our latest game modes and help us refine them into greatness. Also in this update to Season 5, the high-speed hijinks continues, but we're giving players something that will cause the competition to see the red of their brake lights with the spike trap. Vikendi received a facelift to bring the sniper strategies that are most effective on the map into focus. There's a lot to cover in this update, so let's grab some loot, throw our car into gear, and try not to blow a tire as we take a tour of update 5.2. So first we have the new item. This is the spike trap. We almost named it Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Spike, get it? Yep. Spike traps puncture the tires of any vehicle that runs over the strip of spikes. Some tongue twisters here potentially. A spike trap can only damage one vehicle before it disappears, and again it will take out all of the tires that it runs over. And the spike traps puncture the tire vehicles but do not damage the overall health of the vehicle, so I think that's pretty fair. It seems balanced to me so far. And they're spawned at rates consistent with other throwables across all maps. This was interesting because I thought it was only going to be on Miramar, but it looks like these are now going to be available across all maps. And it says you can lay a spike trap by selecting it and pressing left mouse button. Once you've laid a spike trap, you cannot pick it back up, so you're gonna have to be thoughtful where you put these things. And I'm sure we're gonna see some hilarious and also really frustrating moments of people running over a random spike trap in the middle of a field, but this should be a really cool new feature coming into the game. Next is a new system. This is called PUBG Labs, and this looks like it's going to get pretty in-depth, and it's really interesting, so I'm most likely going to be making another video to explain this. But a quick overview is that this is a new section in the game on the live server where they're going to be testing new features, new content, and new items. They said they wanted to put something like this into the game so they could be more nimble with testing different features and content. So the first thing they're going to be doing here is testing a skill-based rating. Right now, this is only on the PTS, but then we'll be moving to the live servers, and when players log in, they can decide whether or not they want to opt in to having their stats tracked. If a player does opt in, when they play the game, their stats will be tracked against other players that have opted in. After you play an initial 5 placement matches, you'll be placed into a rank ranging from bronze, silver, gold, platinum, diamond to master. And then as you play, if you perform well in that match against your opted in peers, you will rank up, and if you perform poorly, you will actually rank down. So this could ultimately lead to ranked playlists, skill-based matchmaking, and a handful of other features into the game that I know a lot of players, including myself, have been asking for a long time. Moving on from that, we have this major Vikendi update, which I was surprised to see this morning when I was reading over the patch notes. Here in quotations, they have breathe, snipe, repeat, and they have an image of the castle area of Vikendi before the update and then after the update, and the water all surrounding the castle has frozen over. Now you can drive over this and traverse around this area of the map, and they've also added in some different terrain and a little bit of a mountain here, not a mountain but a rock formation to the left and right of castle, but the one on the left is actually pretty significant. And I was able to drive around on this section of the map on the PTS on the PC, so I'll try to include a little bit of footage here. So in the patch notes here, they say improved terrain. They've added new roads have been added to the map to reduce the difficulty of moving through certain snow-covered areas of Vikendi. Along with roads added, the amount of vehicles across the map have increased and locations adjusted, and I noticed this by just playing the map one time. There was a ton of vehicles everywhere. A cold front has moved in and the river around the castle has frozen over, as I mentioned in the beginning. Located at the center of Vikendi, Mount Kresnik consists of various terrain types which are difficult to navigate due to how steep the mountain is. To improve this, the overall height of the mountain has been lowered. Yes, we shrunk the mountain, but just a bit. So I had to drive over to Mount Kresnik to see what was going on here. Driving up to it, I couldn't really tell that the mountain was lowered, but then when I got to the top, I could tell that a lot of the surrounding terrain had been altered and even the pathways out of Mount Kresnik. And then when I was running out, I noticed that one of my favorite compounds had been removed from the game, and this whole section of the map was completely different. So we got to continue on in these patch notes. It says here, Vikendi terrain in many areas is very flat, making it difficult for players to hide or take cover when encountering enemies. To improve this, we've added more variance to the terrain height in areas across the map. So I noticed these changes near Mount Kresnik, but then check out where this compound used to be. It's completely flat. So I'm not seeing too much cover here, and I feel like this compound would be better right in the field, but instead they've replaced it with a car. So I get what they're doing here. A lot of players in the past have complained about there being too many buildings and too many compounds on Vikendi. I just wasn't expecting so many areas to be removed, and they address this in the next section of the patch update. So they have improved towns in Vikendi. A few Vikendi towns were seldom visited due to complex structures or not enough loot. We've made some adjustments to the following areas. Volnova has been reshaped in general. Major buildings and driving routes have been modified. And PUBG was not kidding. Check out the new version of Volnova. You can immediately tell when just parachuting in that this town looks completely different. It looks so much more sparse. There's a lot less buildings, but hopefully this will make this area of the map and this particular city feel a little bit more enjoyable to play in. And when the occasional circle ends here, it will feel a little bit less random. Item spawn counts in Peshkova have increased. Garages where vehicles are spawned in Trevno have been relocated to allow easier escape after looting, so get to stepping. And then they say here some buildings have been removed or replaced with different buildings to improve gameplay. The field of vision gained from high buildings have been adjusted through structural changes. Once again, PUBG has altered the blue zone and circle locations on Vikendi. In the beginning, they have increased the early safe zone size, but they've also increased the blue zone speed. And then at the end, they've tried to create more randomness with the final circle. And then to compensate for this, this is another reason why they've added more vehicles to the map. And next is a really awesome UI feature that's being added into the game, and this is a waypoint where you can place up to 4 markers on the map, letting your teammates know where you're going to be going or where you recommend the team going. So they've included a screenshot here of Bacado. So the first marker is at the arena, then the second marker is on the road to the west, then we have a third marker going north, and then the last marker is the compound to the west, basically saying let's go to the arena, cross the street, and then head over to this compound, which I think is really cool and is going to be very helpful when you're playing with your team. And then scrolling down, we have a new auto attachment feature here. So we've already seen this on console. And for me, when I go over to PC, this is kind of confusing because I'm so used to it on console now. At first, I thought this was going to be an easy mode update for us console players, and I did not like it. But then I realized that this is kind of just a quality of life improvement to the game. It just makes things more organized and quicker when you're looting. So I'm glad to see that they'll finally be adding this to PC. This is very cool. And then lastly here, they've adjusted some swimming and speeds of the vehicles. I think swimming needed some love. They nerfed this a while back. They slowed down swimming and also the time you can hold your breath underwater. So they've increased all this back. And then they've also increased the speed of the vehicles, which I thought was kind of strange because I thought the vehicles were already pretty fast enough as it is. I just thought that maybe the snowmobile and the snow bike needed a little bit of love. And then just to round out the update, we have a few additional things here at the end. So I'm just going to quickly go over this. We have improved weapon impact sounds. We have some additional options for the zombie mode presets that were available for PUBG partners. We have a new round feature in war mode where you can do the best out of 2, best out of 3 or 5 or whatever you choose. Then we have a new commander feature in platoon mode. This is all stuff that's on PC and not available on console. There's a lot more loadouts and features available in custom modes. And this seems like a really cool feature where you can kind of be the leader of your platoon, call in airstrikes and red zones and also care packages. Would love to see this eventually on console. Then they've added a sandbox mode for PUBG partners where they can be invincible and just do crazy stuff and test stuff in the game. This is awesome, especially for people who stream and can do fun stuff with their followers. That would be very exciting and fun to do in game. And then they've added in some exclusive items for custom matches, which have been leaked in the past. Pretty much we knew this was coming into the custom games. Helmet repair kit, vest repair kit, and the blue zone zone uplink. So we finally figured out what this blue zone uplink is exactly. A lot of theories surrounding this. So what you can do here is set your current location to be within the next safe zone. So say you're at a compound in the current circle. If you use the blue zone uplink, the circle will stay, your compound will stay within that circle. And if you are outside the safe zone, if you're in the blue, then the safe zone will stay to the nearest location that you're at within the blue zone. I just don't know how this will work if there's more than one blue zone uplink or how many will be available on the map. Then they've also added a feature where you can turn off the HUD and make it realistic. And they've added some features to the weapon mastery to filter, and then just some quality of life and bug fixes across the board with some additional items. So if you want to check all this stuff, I'll leave the link for this down in the description box below. But overall, this update is massive, and I'm surprised at the changes for Vikendi. Was not expecting this, especially with the update, the recent refresh to Miramar. Was not expecting to see this with Vikendi. But I know that a lot of PC players have issues with Vikendi. Me personally, I love that map, and it has become one of my favorites now. When I first started playing it, I did not like it, but now it seems to have grown on me, and I really enjoy it. And I guess we'll see where they go with this, and we'll hear from everybody's feedback soon. So as always, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, drop a like. If you didn't, let me know why down in the comments below. And as always, thank you all for watching. I'm Blitz5, and peace out.